You know, the competition in this here motorsport that we run in here is quite tough, and you got to add close to 1,000 horsepower or more every year, and that's the way we add it, by adding motors.
Okay, you're adding motors to stay basically even, because the competition, they're all stepping up too. Can you see a point in time when there's going to be a limit, a ceiling to this thing?
Yeah, we're going to have to do something. We're getting so many motors, I'm sitting down there in between a couple of them now, you know, and I'm not really scared about that, but something could happen down in there, you know, and I think it's time that maybe we need to detune a little bit and get us all down there to finish line a little closer. You know, we've got 2 7-engine tractors now. Maybe we better put the ceiling on her now and maybe even back up a little bit, you know, because if we all have to spend that kind of money, and I think it would probably be better if we back up a couple motors, get us all down there to the finish line, and get it back to the driver instead of who spends the most money and the most horsepower, you know.
Now, Army, talking about engines, how much would a single engine cost on a tractor such as this?
Anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000. And you know, that was a very, very sincere interview. Dave Banner and the rest of these guys are very aware of the dollar involvement in the sport. Meanwhile, he rolls with 4 Chevrolets, about 6,000 horsepower. Right wheel on the ground so he can steer it. Left one powering up. Trying to go down the side of a 269, Richard, and he's there.
And again, we've got us a new leader. Dave Banner goes 270.01, so the Mr. Chevy moves into position number 1.
Did the run feel to you as good as it looked to us out here?
Oh, it felt like a good run. I got out of the hole, turned its gear good, and I crossed and it went where I wanted it to go. I think it's a good run, yeah. It felt good.
You've been out here all day long with your brother checking this track out. You knew where you were going on that run, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been down this road before, yeah. I knew where I wanted to go, and it went there, so it's a good run.
That's where experience pays off. 22 years in the business for Dave Banner. And here's another experienced driver, John HILEMAN, the Ohio Gold. He's out of Rockford, Ohio. Now, this is a Rodeck powered tractor, and John has been doing it for some 14 years.
Yeah, HILEMAN relies on the 5-engine combination. Hits the weight perfect. Look at this. He's going to bang it real hard on the other end. Richard, another new leader.
By a big way, by 15 feet, 285.66. So John HILEMAN out of Rockford, Ohio, claims the #1 spot, and on a replay, he had it from the word go.
We keep talking about hitting and missing the weight. I want you to watch the front of HILEMAN. He rolls out, both front wheels on the ground. Now the left one comes up. He starts to put the horsepower to the ground with the wheel speed about a foot off the ground. Seems to be the place to be. The rest of the drivers saw HILEMAN make that run. They'll go back and adjust accordingly now, Richard.
And we have got us a new lead distance at 285.66, and that is what John Powell is shooting for. John out of Apex, North Carolina, and he runs the Chrysler engine setup.
Relies on the Keith Black Chrysler Hemi engines. This engine has been so successful through all types of motorsports. Using one engine at a time, it'll propel a vehicle well over 200 miles an hour on a drag strip. Now, he's cranking 4 of them up, working the right side funny, and pulls up a little bit. Had to tag the brake to pull it back around. That will cost him.
No.
Not going to make it. When he tagged the brake, that killed a little bit of horsepower. They say every time you touch the brake, it costs you 10 feet, Richard Leek.
272.76 right now. That's good enough for the top 5, but he's not going to get a win today, as our next puller to the line will be Gary Mills out of Boston, Maryland. Tractor's called One to Go, and now we're going to get a look at a different kind of engine setup.
Well, the name of the game is horsepower and weight. What he relies on for his horsepower is one of the turbine engines. Now, this is an industrial turbine engine, Richard, and what he's doing right now is flaming the engine for the crowd. This is not really to his advantage. It just kind of adds a little bit of flash to it. You can see the spectators, they really get involved in it. Gary's an interesting young man. He flies a helicopter. He's involved in the agricultural industry, but right now, he's got his hands full trying to go on the other side of a 285.
No.
Ground speed is not there.
And Gary Mills is coming to a stop. His distance is going to be 229.42. That's 229. Army, what seemed to be the problem there?
Richard, he's just down on horsepower. The turbine is just not competitive with the piston engine at this point in time in the sport.
Still to come, names like Tim Engler, Dave Walsh, and defending national champion Pat Friels are straight ahead on Power Tracks. And we are turning the power on. It's the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series from Fishersville, Virginia, where our leader is John HILEMAN and the Ohio Gold at a distance of 285.66. But here comes probably the best chassis man in America and a great driver himself. It's Tim Engler and Mission Impossible.
Based out of Southern Indiana, calls Princeton, Indiana home. This is one of the premier drivers in the sport. He brought out the point. He builds chassis. He actually built the frame of the chassis that's currently the leader, but he's going after him. He relies on 5 Chevrolets, a new setup. Now, last year, Richard, Engler ran the expensive Arias engine. He went over to the Chevrolet combination, and he does the old Tim Engler trick right on the starting line. I call it burping the throttle. Whatever it is, it works for him. Look at this, Richard Leek. He's going out of here.
Giving the first full pull of the afternoon. Tim Engler, your current Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series national points leader, takes a full pull here at the Augusta Expoland. Here's Army.
What do they say? It doesn't get any better than that. That was just a phenomenal run. The horsepower was there. The traction was there. What can you say?
Well, I don't know, Army. I'm just thankful right now. I was sitting back there watching everybody run. A lot of the guys were heavy on the front. We knew our tractor was probably heavier than anybody else's on the front. We had to drive it a little bit different, and down here at the end it really loaded the motors. We did a few things to try to hope it would do that, and everything really worked well. I couldn't ask for anything more but sit here and hope that, you know, it'll hold up for the win.
You know they're going to be coming after you. Now, something that I noticed you did a little bit different on the start line, you burped the throttle twice. How come you did that?
Well, I don't want to tell all my secrets, but we got to do that to make this tractor work.
Called planting horsepower. Good luck to you, babe.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, you know, Tim Engler can also run with 7 engines. As a matter of fact, he was the first puller to ever do that. Now, a lot of people think the more engines you have, probably the better puller you are. However, that's not necessarily true, as we spent some time with Tim Engler this afternoon with Army Armstrong.
One of the things that's unique about Mr. Engler standing with me is the fact he was the first tractor to actually go out and compete with the 7-engine combination. Now, some of the other drivers are starting to work that way. And you got to remember, in this sport, it's all set by weight. 7 engines at 9,200 pounds. Everybody says, well, you've got more engines than the other guy.